class was just ended. Maybe sir took some time delay in finishing the class. So anyway, we need to start our class in time. So let's start off with our today's class. So we are in agile development. So in the previous class, we have covered the topic of DSDM. So we are in agile development. Initially, we saw extreme programming, and next we started with different process models, different frameworks for agile development, among which we saw ASD, adaptive software development. We saw Scrum. We saw DSDM in the last class. In today's class, we'll continue with Crystal, FDD, and LSD. So coming to this Crystal, so this is Crystal is an agile methodology for software development. So this is one of a methodology where you'll develop the software by using agile principles. So the main intention or goal of this Crystal is it places focus on people over process as prescribed in the Agile Manifesto, which gives more importance to the people when compared to the tools and processes. So the same is the main philosophy in this Crystal also. It will be giving more focus on the people rather than the process. Okay, and to empower teams to find their own solution for each project rather than being constricted with rigid methodologies. Why is it? By giving the importance to the people or the team members, by the end, they will be given more authorities or enough flexibilities for the team members so that they can bring their own solutions for each project rather than always being restricted by some rigid methodologies. So if we give some authority powers to the team members, as they are the developer, they are skilled person, they will bring their best if you are giving a little bit flexibility for these members. So that is the main principle. It is followed in Crystal. And after making a quick survey of all the project development methodologies and all these things, the author finally concluded that the Crystal finally recognizes that different team members will perform differently depending on the team size, criticality, and the priority of the project. Now, this author, he had a review or survey of all the project developments, by which finally he came to a conclusion that the successfulness or failureness of the project completely depends upon three factors. One is the size of the team. If the team size is low, they are having some flexibilities. Maybe they are having some flexibilities in some projects. If the team size is high, they are having some flexibilities in some other aspects, right? So successfulness of the project depends on the team size and the criticality of the project and the priority of the project. These are the three factors which are having an impact, major impact on the successfulness of the project. So the author proposed that which framework to choose for your project, by which framework you should develop your software, it depends upon the size of the team. Mainly it depends upon the size of the team. If your team size is very low, then some kind of framework will be suitable for you. If the team size is maximum, then some other sort of framework will be suitable for you among the agile things, right? So finally, the author gave a conclusion that Crystal is actually comprised of family of agile methodologies. That is the reason we call it as Crystal family. What this Crystal family contains is, it contains a family of agile methodologies, a group of agile methodologies such as, which are named as Crystal Clear, Crystal Yellow, Crystal Orange, Crystal Red, Crystal Maroon, so all these kinds of things. So finally, they gave a family of agile methodologies. Which methodology to choose depends upon the size of the team members and the criticality. So see, these are the family of agile methodologies given by Crystal. These are categorized by color according to the number of people in the project. See here, first one is Crystal Clear. If the team size is very low, very less, only with maximum of 6 people or 8 people here. So if the team size is very less, the basic minimum project, then they can choose the framework related to Crystal Clear, right? If the team size is between 10 to 20, then they can go for Crystal Yellow. 20 to 50, then they can go for Orange, right? and 50 to 100, then they can go for red, or more than 100, then they can go for maroon. Again, still more very large product, then they can go for diamond. So all these are different crystal families. Every family follows different framework methodologies, right? Now, which framework to choose for your project depends upon your size of the team. That is what the author gave. See, these are the key principles that are proposed by the author in crystal framework. There are 7 principles in this. The first 3 principles should be adapted for any family framework here. So any of the family framework, they should adapt the first 3, and rest of the 4 depends upon the individuals, or depends upon the conditions of the team. So right, so among the 7 principles, the first principle is frequent delivery is the main philosophy here. See, what we are saying in frequent delivery is you should deliver code regularly to your users. Without this, you might be building a product nobody needs. See, that is what we are saying in Agile Manifesto also. The product should be released quickly, frequently. So why, if you release the product frequently, you are having more benefits, right? Instead of taking more time, larger time for delivering your project, you should deliver your project frequently. For that only, we are going for incremental releases or version releases, right? So because of that evolutionary releases, you are able to release your product, some part of your product, so that frequent releases can happen. If not, if you are given a product, and if it takes for your to release your product for 1 year of time, then by that 1 year of time, the same products might of different related products might be released by different people along the world, right? So then finally our product will be a big failure. After 1 year of time, you come with very good project also. By that time, many projects are released regarding that application, right? Then definitely will be a failure, right? And second one is reflective improvement. So what it is saying is, look back on what you have done, how you have done it, and why as a team. Reflect and decide how to improve it in the future. So once you have released one increment, so go and look back how you have done it, what you have done it, and why, and as a team, reflect and decide how to improve it in future. So definitely when you're doing any job for the first time, maybe we'll be going through more failures, or maybe we'll be taking more time to complete, or some sort of thing. Now after 1 or 2 increments are released, generally you'll be having an experiences. So based on the experiences, plan for your future. That is what we are saying. That is generally what we do in real life. The same thing apps for us, or project development also. So right, and the next one is osmotic communication. Now what this is saying is, what the author is saying is, he believed in correlation. Having teams in the same physical space is critical, as it allows information to flow between team members. So generally, it's not that when you are doing one project, all the team members should be located in at one place only. It happens that different team members are located at different places, and all those peoples communicate and develop the project simultaneously, right? Now what this author is suggesting is, it would be better if the teams are staying in the same physical space, in the same place within the organization, within the same place. Then they'll have a flow of information, so which will be beneficiated by the end, right? So that is what the author is saying. So these are the 3 principles which are mandatory for any crystal family frameworks, and rest of the things depends upon the members. And the next one is personal safety. So team members should feel safe to discuss ideas openly without fear. See, right, as we are saying from the beginning, all the team members should be given equal importance. They should have a feel that they are always respected in all the aspects, right? They should have a feel that they are just working for their own. The organization is of their own. They are working for the benefit of the organization, by which they are benefited in other sources, right? So they should the team members should be given enough respect and authorities. That is what we are saying from the beginning. So what we are saying here is, team members should feel safe to discuss ideas openly. So even though it is good or bad, even though you after implementing some sort of methodology, you went wrong. Maybe it happens, right? We get errors in most of the cases, and we try to rectify it and improve it in the future, right? So similarly here, if the team members does any mistakes also, right, they should be given, even though they does mistakes, they should be given a chance so that they can rectify it in the future. That is what we are saying here. There are no wrong answers and bad suggestions in critical team. So whatever we feel, we can say either it is wrong, either it is good or a bad suggestion, but you should be given enough freedom to open their minds, right? That is what we are saying here. And the next one is focus on work. Team members should know that to work on next and to be able to do it. This requires clear communication and documentation when required. So all the team members should know what to work next and be able to do it. So right, what is our next plan? What we are going to do in the next meeting? What should be done next? So all this should be known to all the team members. Now how they will know it? When they are having communication or when the documentation is done thoroughly, then they will be focusing on the work. And the next one is access to subject matters, experts and users. The team members should be able to get feedback from users and experts when required. So if they are having any doubt in the requirements or anything, so they should always be in communication with the users, right? That is one of the agile principle in Agile Manifesto, always communication with the user. So when the team members should get feedback from the users, at the same time, if they want, they should also get feedback or suggestions from the experts. So they should always be exposed to experts and the users, professional technical professionals and the users, right? The last one is technical tooling. So tooling is nothing but some automated support, doing your work automatically. So teams should have access to toolings like continuous development, automated testing, and configuration management. This means errors and mistakes can be caught quickly without human intervention. So when you're having an automated tool for designing, then it will be easy for you to design, right? When you're having automated tool for testing, instead of you writing the manual test cases, if you are having an automated tool for testing, then you will be able to identify the errors fastly when compared to manual things, right? So here, tooling is nothing but automated support in any aspect. Either it is in testing, either it is in coding, either it is in designing, any kind of things, any kind of automated testing, automated thing. So these are the 7 principles of Crystal framework. So this is about Crystal. And next, coming to our next agile process, next one is FDD. So next model is FDD, stands for feature driven development. Feature driven development. This is proposed by Peter Code and is a model for object oriented software engineering. So object oriented software engineering, in the sense, you, as we told you, for designing you'll go for UMLs, which we'll be seeing in detail in the next chapters. Now this is proposed by Peter Code. The main we will be mostly using this when you are going for object oriented software engineering, right? Now here, feature stands for any requirement that is given by the client. So why it is given as feature driven development is the main focus is on the feature. That is the reason we are calling it as feature driven development, right? Now the philosophy that is adopted by FDD is it emphasizes collaboration among people on an FDD team. So this is one among the Agile Manifesto. So main focus is collaboration with the people and also among all the FDD team, among the team members, which we are keeping on repeating from in different models, different framework models. And the next one is, this is the main thing which is different in FDD, manages problems and project complexity by using feature-based decomposition followed by the integration of software increments. So it is going to, this framework is going to manage all the projects and the complexity of the project by using feature-based decomposition. Here, features are the requirements that are given by the client. Those features are again decomposed into small components to a smaller level through which you can develop your product easily. For suppose if in a real life, if we are having a construction company kind of thing, if some person comes and asks you to build a building a two store stages building or something like that, then you'll sit with the client, you'll ask him what how the first floor should look like, what is he expecting. Now as a person, as a civil engineer, you will develop the plan, you will start construction for the first floor, finish the construction for the first floor. If if it is satisfied by the client, again you will communicate with the client and ask how the second floor should look like, what is the total length area, or all this should be done initially, how the second floor should look like. You'll do accordingly. Next, again you'll communicate with the client and ask him how the roof should look like, how the design should look like, how the elevation should look like. So all these kinds of things. So whatever the client wants from us is called as a feature. He wants the roof to look like this, he wants the elevation to look like this, he wants the following colors, he wants the following flexibility of lift. So all these kinds of things can be called as a features. So in this FDD, it is going to manage the project complexity by using feature based decomposition. In the sense, the large product requirement is divided into small components, small features. So individual feature is developed first and it is shown to the client. So that is the main thing here in FDD. Next, communication of technical detail using verbal, graphical and text-based means. And for communicating, here we are saying always collaborating with client and team members. And for collaborating, for communicating, you will be using verbal, either through voice you can communicate, either you can use graphical kinds of things, or text-based means, either through some documents, any kind of things you are going to establish communication. Now I'm showing you, I'm presenting my class by using some graphical kind of thing for you. This is how I'm communicating with you. I'm going to communicate with you through my verbal voice, right? So this is the type of communication I'm establishing with you. And the same thing is done in FDD. So this is the main philosophy of FDD. And coming into this FDD, here the main distinguishing feature in this FDD is called as features. Now, what is the definition of this features is, a feature is a client valued function that can be implemented in 2 weeks or less. Any function which is going to give some value to the client, that is called as a feature. Any function, any requirement which the client wants, which is going to give some value to that client, that is called as a feature. Generally, these features are released within 2 weeks or less time. So one small component, one small module is released within 2 weeks or less time. This is the feature, right? For suppose if client asks you to develop a website, if you say, I want the login page to look like this. Now login page is one feature, right? He wants the some other database to look like this, that is some other feature. So all these kinds of things. Now the database, maybe the login page, right? Now uses the template. Here we are saying features, right? Now in order to represent that feature, we are having a common template to represent that feature. That template looks like this: action, maybe you have seen HTML. So action, next the result and the object. What is the action? By this action, what will be the result? And what is the object? Here object can be any person, anything, any kind of thing. Right? This is the template for the feature. And the main thing in this is the feature list is created and the plan by feature is conducted in the life cycle phase, which will be seen. So the main important thing in this FDD, differing from rest of the frameworks, is feature driven development. Now what is a feature? Any value, that any function that is giving some value to the client is called as a feature. Now coming to an example of feature, for suppose consider an e-commerce application. Any e-commerce application can be either a Flipkart, an Amazon, any kind of e-commerce application. Making a product sale is one module, one requirement that the client wants. That is the main feature, product sale. we will be displayed some product, and product sale is one feature the client wants. Again, this large feature, the product sale, can be divided into into different feature sets. This product sale can be again subdivided into small feature sets. For example, if product sale is the main feature, then it can be subdivided as the set as add the product to shopping craft. See, this is the template I already gave you in order to describe the feature. What is that? Action, the result, and next any verbs to the object, right? Now what is the action? Action he is saying is add. The user wants to add to what? Add the product. What he wants to add is add the product, any item, to the shopping cart, right? So to that list, whichever we are storing. So this is one feature set. And next action is display. Action is display. Display the, what he want to display is technical specification. So suppose if you are selecting any product, you will be having all the specification of that product. Like if you take a mobile phone, what is the RAM, how it looks like, what are all the features of that mobile phone, all this will be displayed, right? All the technical specifications, that is the result of the what? Of the mobile phone, so of the product. So this is one feature set. Display the technical specification of the product. And next is store. What action the client want is to store the shipping information to the, for whom? For the customer. So I can use the verbs as buy, for, of, to, so on. So here I'm using for the customer. Store. Once the product is booked, shipping information should be stored. For whom? For the customer. So this is the feature set. So understood, this is the feature, which is again subdivided into small feature set. Now each feature sets will be developed and released to the released to the client. So if someone gave you an e-commerce application, you'll gather the requirements from the client, which among all the requirements, one is the feature, one is the product sale, which he wants, one is the feature product sale, which he wants. Again, this feature is divided into different feature sets. So each feature set will be developed and it will be released as an increment, or some group of feature sets can be developed based on the priority and they will be released in one increment. So this is the FDD. And coming to the phases of this FDD, as I already told you, first one is develop an overall model. Here we'll be developing the overall model. So based on the requirements given by the client, you will prepare a high level design. High level design is prepared based on the domain given to you. It may be prepared by the domain expert. After preparing a high level design, that may be divided into different domains. Nothing but here the object model is created. Maybe here we'll not know what is an object model, all these kinds of things, because you will be seeing all this in the next classes after starting your UML. So here object model can be represented as a class diagram kind of thing. The class diagram kind of thing will be prepared, a model will be prepared for the entire system, for the entire features that is given by the user. That is what is called as develop an overall model. Overall model for the system is prepared. And next, build a feature list. Now this overall model is divided into different small features, right? As we told you in the previous example. So I'll be building the feature list. Here for e-commerce application, I'm having 3 feature lists for this one. So we'll be building the feature list and grouped into the sets of same area. So for product sale, some kind of product delivery, some kind of feature sets, right? So I'll be representing grouping all the feature sets into some subject area. Now after building all the feature set, now plan by the feature. So here the planning of how to develop the feature. So here my feature is add the product to the craft. Now display the specifications. In order to develop this features, I'll need to prepare that plan, right? How to develop that one. So that is done here. And after planning, designing and building will be done here. The designing the product, and next finally the coding and testing, everything will be done here. And finally, what feature the client want, the client valued function called as feature is given to the client. So these are the different features. So this is how the model look like. FDD model looks like, right? In this FDD model, the main concentration is on features, delivering the features to the client. That features are nothing but the functions by which the client will be satisfied, client valued functions. So here in the first phase, the overall model is prepared by the domain expert, right? And from here, all the features of the domain are listed. What are the feature list are listed, and based on the priority, based on prioritizing all these feature lists, we'll prepare a plan of what are the features that should be developed in that. We'll be giving it to the class owners or the team members or the main programmer, responsible programmer, team members. The plan will be prepared, and next, based on that plan, the design of the feature will be done and the building and deployment of the feature will be done. This is how the life cycle model looks like for FDD, feature driven development. And coming to our last one, this is not last one for today's class, this will be the last one. Coming to the next model, lean software development. So lean software development is an agile framework based on optimizing development time and resources, eliminating waste, and ultimately delivering only what the product needs. So very long sentence, but nothing. The main goal of this lean software development is to optimize, to minimize the development time, to minimize the resources by taking only the wanted resources, eliminating all the waste. Don't concentrate on unnecessary things which will waste your time or cost or resources, any kinds of thing. So trying to eliminate all the unnecessary waste, and ultimately finally delivering only what the product needs, finally giving only what the client wants, only the useful information, and neglecting all the unwanted kinds of things. That is the main goal of this lean software development. So the primary goal of software development team is delivering valuable features and products as quickly and effectively as possible. So the main goal of this team is to develop your product and give that product quickly, deliver that product quickly, and also the delivered product will be effective, will be of good quality. That is the main goal of this lean software development. So, right. And coming to this activities in lean software development. So there are generally 7 phases in this lean software development. Like rest of the models, here we are having 7 phases, which include, the first one is eliminate waste, and next empower the team, deliver fastly your product, optimize the whole, build the quality product, defer decisions, and amplify learnings. So these are the 7 phases in this model, in lean software development model. And coming to this first one, eliminate waste. Here in eliminate waste, what we are mainly concentrating is, we are trying to identify which is useful and trying to eliminate which is not useful for that development. So here, in order to increase the value of the product, what we are doing is, we must develop ways to identify waste. We should find the means by which we can identify the waste and also eliminate that waste. Here in software development, the waste can be the following things. Waste, what can we say a waste? Not a real life waste, right? In software, coming to software development, what can be called as a waste is, it can be partially done work, it can be extra process, extra features, task switching, waiting, motion, defects, everything can be called as a waste. Right? Now coming to this first one, partially done work. One of the waste product is partially done work. What is this partially done work? Is work that has been started but is not completed. Even it happens in our life also, right? We try to develop some kind of thing, but in the middle we'll get fed up and we'll stop that process, we'll not finish it completely. Similarly here also, while you're developing different modules, there are some areas where the work has been started to some extent but you did not complete it. So that can be done, called as a partially done work. That it can either happen in testing or it can either happen in coding. So you should identify that waste material and avoid it. Next is extra process. extra work but does not value. So you have done some extra work, but that does not give any value to the client. Unnecessary, maybe for documentation, for your references, only for your references you have prepared lots of document, right, which will be only helpful for you for development, but that will not be useful for client. Then that can be called as an extra process, right? So all those extra process that should be identified and they should be eliminated. This extra process can be any unused documents, right? Any unused approach, unnecessary approaches can be called as extra process. And next one is extra features. See, the client gave you some features, he wants some features to be developed. What you thought is, in addition to this, to those features, if this extra feature will be added, then it will look nice, then it will be giving a nice appearance, actually, which the client did not expect, but it is only from your perspective you are thinking that if some more thing can be added for that, then it will be looking good, good feeling, good looking will come through. All these kinds of things are extra features, right? So you should identify those extra features and eliminate all those extra features. Try to remove those extra features. And next one is task switching. So when generally people are working on different projects, different areas, when they are multitasking people, then it takes time for them to work in different areas, right? So working on multiple projects, right? So you should identify all those kinds of things by which you are lacking because of task switching, because of waiting for someone else to do that one, someone else to come and do that work. So all these kinds of things we are getting delay of some time. So you should identify all those kinds of things and try to rectify them. So right, next, waitings. Your waitings can be any delays, any delay. For suppose you developed a prototype, just a model, prototype model, and gave for the client. You are asking the client to look for that prototype. If he is satisfied with that prototype, then we'll go for actual development process. For the client, for looking that model and giving us feedback, he's taking very long time. He's taking very long time, right? So you need to wait until the client gives you feedback. Unless and until the client gives us feedback, we can't move forward. That can be called as a waiting time. You're waiting for some reviews to come from the client. That can be called as a waiting time. So you need to minimize all those waiting times. That can be caused as a wait, and you need to try to eliminate that waste. And next one is motion. So moving from one offices to another office. In order to do this work, I need to move from this office to some other office, by which again I'm lagging in some time, right? So eliminating the motion and eliminating the defects. Any unwanted code, any code that is giving us some errors, any documents that is not useful, any area where you have done defect, where you are having some defects, where you have done some mistakes, which is not needed. So all those kinds of things should be identified and they should be eliminated. So that is the first activity in this eliminate waste. Right, now coming to this first one, first phase here in lean software development, the first phase is we should try to eliminate the waste. In software, what the waste can be is all these things can be called as waste. Partially done works, unwanted extra process done by you, unwanted features that are developed by you, task switching, waiting time for getting feedbacks or report, motion for taking time for moving from one area to another area, and defects which are giving you some errors. All these can be called as waste. Now, after identifying the waste material and eliminating them, and next one, what we are saying is, so next principle, what we are saying is, empower the team. So this is what we are saying from the beginning. The team members should be given enough authorities. They should be given enough flexibilities. They should be given enough respect, so that they feel that they are working for their own company. When you are giving all these kinds of flexibilities for the team member, for the developers, then they try to bring the best from them. Instead of having a boss and employee kind of thing, have a leader and an employee kind of thing, where the leader will be always trying to motivate the developers, and the developers will always try to bring the best by which the organization will be benefited, right? So that is the second principle we are saying. Try to empower the team. Okay, and the third principle is deliver fast, which is also present in Agile Manifesto. Always try to deliver your product fastly. Fastly doesn't mean that you remove the necessary things and give it quickly. No, not that kind of fastness which we generally give show when you are asked to give some assignments. So we'll be giving you 1 month of time to submit the assignment, but you will be only doing it in the last day. So wherein you want to complete that assignment fastly, and you don't know what you're writing, what you're missing, what you're finally concluding there, right? So it doesn't mean that that kind of fastness which you're showing in assignments. Here, fastness is dividing your large project into smaller modules and releasing that modules in a faster way. Instead of having large time schedules, instead of completing your project for 1 year, taking your project for 1 year to complete, try to complete it try to give some increments within some weeks, release those increments so that it keeps on working, right? And next one is optimize the whole. So here, optimize the whole is nothing but the holistic view of the product. For suppose, if your project has some 5 modules, if you are given one module to develop, while developing that module, you don't sit in a room and only develop your module, right? While developing the module that is given to you, you also need to consider the rest of the modules, how the data will be transferred from that module to your module, how the information should transfer. Unless and until you have a holistic view of all the modules, your module will not be correct, right? So if you are given a work, you don't go somewhere and only complete your work and come out, right? Your work is related to rest of the members, then you should always have the rest of the members view in your mind while you are implementing the product. Similarly, if you are given a project, your project should be developed in such a way that it should resemble the standards of the organization. For suppose if you are working in a good organization, whichever project you are developing, it will by the end represent your organization reputation, right? The project should be in such a way that a good quality one, such a way that your organization should get name from it. So for that to happen, you should always have the full view, holistic view of what you're doing. So that is what we are saying here, optimize the whole, right? And next one is build quality in. So this is also we are saying in different areas. Here quality doesn't means that after completing the complete product and go somewhere and have a stamp mark called quality, like we have in gold, like after purchasing the gold, we'll have a mark called some KDM mark or some kind of mark, which represents that that is a quality product, right? It does not happen in software, right? Here quality measures should be included right from the beginning, right from the analysis, right from the requirement analysis, right from the design, right from coding, testing. In every way, the quality assurance team should be included, quality measures should be included, by which by the end of the day your product will be a quality one. It's not that you develop the complete product and then you go for a quality mark. It's not that, like that kind of thing. Then you will be a failure, right? The quality measure should be included right from the beginning. That is what we are saying here. And next one is deferred decisions. Here, deferred decisions, I can say that for suppose you are having a decision in mind that after 4 years, my target will be generally in some organizations also in the first step we enter the organizations, will be having some bar graph shown there where they'll show that in this year we had this much of purchases, in next year will be this much successful, in next year the chart goes on, we call it as a Gantt chart, right? The chart goes as always showing that the stocks has increased, product sales has increased, all these kinds of things. So here what we are saying here is don't go for that much long. Don't go for after 5 years I'll be this, after 10 years I'll be this. Plan smallly. Try to implement those small goals whichever you are having. So go for those kinds of things, but don't go for long goals. That is what we are saying here. So, right. And next one is amplify learning. So by the end, all the members who are present in the team, they should have a good knowledge of all the technologies, all the methodologies, all the process, whatever is happening in that area, they should have a good knowledge of all those things. It happens only if you are following continuous learning, right? Always learning new things, not that you completed your BTech and finished your learning is over. Always remember that as a software employees, you should perform lifelong learning. Unless and until you have a lifelong learning, you will not be successful in your job. Why? Because the language or whichever you are learning today will not be present in the next year in a software industry. In order to sustain in the industry, you should keep on learning lifelong. Generally our parents say that you complete your 10th standard, okay, you just work hard in the 10th class and your life will be set. And after finishing your 10th class, they say that after completing your inter second year, when you get an MCET rank, okay, it is done. After joining some engineering college, we say that after your 4 years of work, 4 years of education, finally you will be placed in one company and okay, you will get settled. No, it does not happen. After going to an organization, you will learn by yourself that I need to learn until I die. Until we die, we need to learn somehow or another in order to sustain in our life. So that is what called as amplified learning, keeping on continuous learning. So these are the 7 principles that should be followed in lean software development. First one is eliminate waste, try to do the wanted things and try to remove the unwanted things in software development. And next one is empower the team, give the team the enough respect. And next one is deliver fast. Always try to deliver your product fastly with small increments. Next is optimize the whole. While developing your product, keep in mind the holistic view, not the single view of your module, right? And next one is build quality in. Finally, the main goal of any software developer should be developing a quality product, right? In order to do so, the quality measure should be included right from the beginning itself. And next, defer decisions, go for short-term goals. And last one is amplify learning, continuous learning. So these are the 7 principles that should be followed for lean software development. So by this, we end up with today's class. So in today's class, we have completed Crystal, FDD, and lean software development. In the next class, we'll see agile modeling and agile unified process, by which we'll just complete the first part of unit 2. The first, not the part, but the first topic of unit 2. First topic of unit 2 is agile and different agile models. So these are all the different agile models. So students having any doubt?